The Delaware primaries are around the corner, and one of the most contentious races is the race for state treasurer, with accusations of a scandal and one charismatic personality. Fasten your seatbelts as we sit down with State Treasurer Chip Flowers. This is the Delaware Way. Hi, this is Larry Mendte, and welcome to the Delaware Way. I am joined today by the State Treasurer for the state of Delaware, Chip Flowers. Sir, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
And you were just at a debate last night in Wilmington with your opponent, Sean Barney. How did it go?
We stood very strong. Once again, my opponent, unfortunately, has gotten a little desperate now. He won't even let me talk during debates. He's just yelling, hollering, screaming with the false attacks. But people are tired of it. I think people saw the hidden agenda behind his candidacy. He was put up to run against me because people didn't like the fact that I was standing up for change here in Delaware. So I think the gig is over.
The hidden agenda. What is the hidden agenda? And wait a second, who's behind the hidden agenda?
Well, we never want to say who's behind things. I think we'll have to let the voters speculate on that. But I think it was clear that the establishment wanted Sean Barney to take me out because I was calling for change within my own party, because I believe that we are the Democratic Party, but we still have to stand for those values and principles that make us Democrats, meaning that open and transparency, conflicts of interest policy, and be focusing on making sure that we're making millions for the state, not making sure that political contributions aren't the way that we make critical decisions. Decisions are made based upon what's in the best interest of the state. And so, I love my party. I'm a Democrat, but also I am a Delawarean first. Party is important to me second. So I make sure that even though I'm in a primary, that I speak for the people. And so I enjoy these debates. My opponent is a surrogate of the establishment. So we're just going to have at it, and I enjoy every minute of it.
You seem like you're running against your own party. Your party, you're the only incumbent that was not endorsed by the Democratic Party.
Well, people have to remember, I was not endorsed the first time around, and I think, which was a good thing because I still won. Do you
not get along with the Democratic Party? Do you not get along with other Democrats?
I get along with a lot of Democrats. I think that the issue is I don't get along with certain, what I call the establishment members of the Democratic Party, because they're resistant to change. And I think that, we're struggling here in Delaware. People are struggling. Our economy's not going in the right direction. I think that we have to do things differently here, and that's why I ran for office. That's why we've made $44 million. Now, I think it's now the latest total is $50 million for the people, because I think they're best practices and are the good things that need to be done. But we have to stop this notion of saying that we're the best at everything. We're not the best at everything. I mean, you talk to people and say, oh my goodness, you look at these polls that say Delaware is not where you want to be. We're awful in small business creation, all this stuff. And we have a tendency to blame the people who did the polls. Oh, that poll is wrong because we're a small state. No, I don't take that attitude. I say, listen, let's look at the facts, let's look at the evidence, and let's come up with real solutions.
In your answer, I thought there might be a conflicting statement, and you can straighten me out. You said our economy is going in the wrong direction, and then in the next sentence said we've improved since you've been in office.
Sure.
So if the economy is going in the wrong direction, aren't you partly to blame for that?
Sure. That's a great question. No, that's a great question. No, great question. What I'm meaning is that the Treasury is only responsible for managing the state's revenues. That's all. We don't have a larger say on the state economy, only with the exception of the money that we manage. And so we've made millions. So the part that I'm responsible for, we're making money. And we did that by coming up with some innovative ideas, changing our state portfolio, standing up to the establishment and saying, no, this cash management policy board is unelected, and we need to basically make sure that their votes and decisions are in the best interest of the people of the state. I believe we can do more with our economy, meaning that I propose ideas of revamping the state strategic fund, which is not under the direct purview of the treasurer like it should be, as in other states where the treasurer has a role in managing the state economic development projects. I believe that we should revamp it so when we use taxpayer-funded money, taxpayer funds to invest in state projects, that taxpayers receive a benefit. That way, people have a vested interest in the success of the project, and they get a monetary check that will serve as a stimulant for the economy and economic growth. So there's a lot more we can be doing, but as treasurer, we're doing a great job. In fact, we're doing so well that any idea I come up with, they just immediately say no right out the gate because they're afraid.
That doesn't mean you're doing a great job.
Well, I think there is a little competitiveness, and I love it. Larry, I love it. I love the fact that that when people point and says, well, why are you upset? Well, he's making millions of dollars and he's doing this and doing that, and they have no criticism of the fact that we're making money and we're just doing it differently, not the old way, not asking for a permission slip to do it. We're just doing our job.
What's your relationship with the governor?
I always describe it in one word: complicated. And I'm sure your viewers thought there was going to be a different word that I used there, but it's a complicated relationship. I have nothing but respect for the governor because he was a former treasurer for what he's done. I think where the governor and I disagree is the role of the Cash Management Policy Board and the role of the Treasury. I believe that this state needs to look at all of its offices and say, how can all their
I'll
offices
get into policy
improve?
in 1 second,
Sure,
and we'll talk all about that in a second. I want to know personally what your relationship is with them.
You know, I think we have an. I would describe it as a complicated relationship. I think that we.
I got that.
Yeah, I think most of us we're political frenemies. Maybe that's the word I want to go with. That's what I'll use. We are.
Do you dislike each other?
No, I don't think we dislike each other. I think he has a wonderful family. I like his family and has a lovely wife, lovely children. You know, I don't think we necessarily are going to be best friends because of what has happened, but that's politics. You know, Larry, as you know, Alexander Hamilton, John Adams, and Jefferson couldn't stand the ground they walked on, but they still did some great things for this country. So, you know, people have this notion that all politicians have to grow up and love each other and hug each other and be Facebook and Twitter friends. And no, that's not what we're going to be. Voters are just going to, they've priced that into the brand. So, but that being said, that we can still get along enough to work together and get some policies done for this state.
Did he put up Sean Barney to run against you?
You know, that's for him to answer. You know,
do you think he did?
I'm going to leave my opinions to myself. But I think that it is. I don't think it's an accident that Sean Barney came from the governor's office and you know, from was groomed to kind of run against me, and that's okay. I mean,
because he denies that. He says he wanted him to stay in the office.
And that's
he didn't want him
fine.
to run.
You know, that's between him and God, right? I always say, look, we don't. None of us will know the truth. I'm sure there'll be a tell-all book one day. Hopefully, probably only be sold in Delaware. Nobody else probably won't care that much about it. But I think at one day the truth will come out. But like I said, that's between him and Sean and the establishment. So if they put him up, that's fine. But we're running a campaign as if he's a surrogate of the establishment because we think he is. I mean, certainly he articulates their positions on everything, and that's fine with us. You know, insert name here. We're going to run our race, and that's fine.
The governor was sitting right there. We taped 2 shows, and the governor was sitting right there just an hour ago. And I said, did Chip Flowers do a good job as state treasurer? He said, I'm not going to answer that. I said, would Sean Barney make a good state treasurer? He said, I think he would. And then when I said, you know that when you will not talk about the job he's done, that speaks volumes. And he started to go to talk, and then he wouldn't answer it. The fact that the governor of the state not only won't endorse you, but as a former treasurer, won't even comment on the job you're doing, isn't that an indictment of the job you've done, according to the governor?
Well, no, but I don't think it's indictment. As many people in the state know that
it's easy to say he's done a great job.
I mean,
he decided not to do that.
But you have to remember, the governor appointed the person that I beat 2 years ago. And so, you know, let's be honest. I think the people of Delaware know it's been publicly written. I mean, he endorsed and supported my opponent. I defeated his hand-picked successor. And that's going to leave some, obviously, some bad taste in the mouth. And that's just politics. That's the way it is. So, you know, I don't need, you know, people to build me up. I don't need the governors to say I've done a good job. I think my record speaks for itself. And so, you know, if the governor doesn't want to have a comment, you know, but I'm going to be man enough to sit here in this chair because it's who I am and my Christian values and say, look, I think the governor, those are some things I've disagreed with him on a policy perspective. I think that there's some things he's done well for the state. Now, if he chooses not to comment for political reasons or whatever, that's him. But that's not the way I run politics. I think, you know, like any elected official, there's some strengths and there's some weaknesses. And so, you know, certainly I think the governor would concede that we've done some great things at the Treasury. Now, whether he chooses to say it or not, you know, that's for him and his moral compass. But I think that, you know, the record speaks for itself. People
in Pennsylvania and New Jersey would be stunned to know that as the state treasurer, you don't really get to run the Treasury. That the Cash Management Board has to okay almost everything you do. First of all, how has that relationship been?
No, and people need to understand the Cash Management Policy Board is an unelected board that primarily is appointed by the governor. Appointed by the governor. So as you just hinted for the last 5 minutes, the governor and I myself are often at odds since I beat his hand-picked successor. So as a result, the individuals, it's not illogical to think that the individuals that he appointed on this board obviously have not wished me well. You know, I always share this story about my relationship with the board. When my very first meeting we had with some members of the board, I remember one member of the board walked up and, you know, we're in a meeting and he said, I might let you have $20 million to manage. I mean, you're telling the newly elected treasurer that you might let him manage some money. So I clearly told them, says, I don't know who you're thinking you are. I don't care how much money you gave to the governor's political campaign. I don't care. I'm the treasurer of the state. I was elected to manage money, and we're going to manage the money, and that's why we made the millions that we made. And so I think that that model is going to have to change. No one's saying that the treasurer should be the sole person responsible, but I think you can't have that kind of attitude when you come out the gate. And many people always say the same attitude that you had some members of Congress coming out and saying, no matter what the president proposes, we want him to fail. You know, you can't have these individuals in these key positions. Government is not about wishing someone to fail. You may not like the individual, you may want your own political party to do it, but it's not about that. So
and you really believe that it was set up so that you would fail?
No, it doesn't matter whether it was intentional or not. It's a fact that it was there. These people resisted, and ultimately they were wrong. I mean, the things that they wanted me to do. You know, we had a member of the board who owned stock in the bank and was trying to get me to put more money in the bank that he held stock in. Now, in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, or place else, that would be corruption and things. You know, some pretty strong things would go along with that. And Delaware was like, well, Treasurer, you better do what he says. So no, we stood up and we said, no, we're not going to do that because that's not in the best interest of taxpayers. So we take votes, and if you have a conflict of interest, you're supposed to step aside. So I don't regret it. I don't regret being in these policy disputes because I think that ultimately the people of this state deserve the best.
We will talk. The state legislature has voiced their opinion about this as well, and we'll talk about that when we return with State Treasurer Chip Flowers on the Delaware Way.